All right, let's get ready to rip. When you go to a tracker facility, it's not about the money in the track. It's about the people. Guys, I don't give a shit about anything but making this hobby better. You don't have to put them into a late model right out of the hit. Put them in a slash. Let them bang around on the bathtubs. That'd be good. Um, let's get into what we got. Let's get into what we got real quick, guys, and then we'll get back to this. So, thank you for the great weekend. I'm going to go through tracks like I always do, guys. You know how it works. We're going to go over what tracks have done and what they haven't done, and then we're going to rip from there. Jacksonville had the elite race, 51 and 107. So that was a really good turnout. I talked to some guys that were down there today. It sounds like they had a really good time. A lot of good racing down there. And Dan and Megan do a great job. The time I was down there, and I've heard it before, that they did a really, really good job getting it done. So that's good. I'm glad that everybody supported Jacksonville, supported the Elite Series. So they got two more races in the Elite Series, and they'll rip from there. So that's good. They do a different deal down there. He pulls it down. They said he actually tore the track up and repacked it because it got too much of a groove in it for him, and that's how he is. He doesn't want that thing all grooved up, from what I've been told for a long time, and I think he's got a way to make it happen. So that's good for him. I'm glad he did it that way. I checked on some other tracks that are kind of, well, we'll go down this one. A normal one that I do is Raw. Raw had 34 and 67. That was a Friday night deal. Their Friday night program has turned out to be a pretty good deal for them, and I don't blame them for keep running it. It seems like, 34-67 is not a bad number at all. So congratulations to Raw on a decent number for there. I checked two other tracks out that I normally don't talk about much. One's County Line. It's down in Val's Mine, Missouri. They have 34 and 72, and then RC Barn in Jeff City, Missouri, 20 and 45. So just a couple of different names, guys. I try to jump around a little bit to see where everybody's at, and try to get a good grasp on how that works, just to see what the state of the hobby is. Not necessarily because I want something. I'm not taking from nothing. I'm not doing anything like that. I just want to know what's out there. So that's why I do it that way. Jump around a little bit. Kempton Speedway, the old shithole with the hole in the ground out here. We got 36 and 93. 36 and 93. Guys, I can't thank y'all enough. There's so many guys that influenced that deal, helped with that deal. They had the opportunity. They could have went to the Elite Series race, which is a huge stage, honestly, in my opinion. It's a big stage, the Elite Series stuff is. So for you to give that up, to come up and race for a charity and enjoy that charity, I mean, that means a lot to me. So of course, everybody knows where my family is with that, and how that is. So that's where we're at on the local tracks around us, and some of us not. Palo had 63 cars. Rick, I tried to look up Palo on Live RC, but I couldn't find it. So if you know that, you can message me later. Chuck says charity races are always a win for my dollar. Man, I'm telling you, you almost have to, right? I mean, if you can, as I said in the beginning of the race yesterday, and those of you that weren't here, we'll get back on my race a little bit. I'm gonna get crazy on my race, although I'm very proud of it, and I just don't want to eat up a bunch of time on it. But we're gonna hell with it. I I did my driver's meeting just like I always do, 4 o'clock. Um, oh, okay, I see it. I seen that, Rick. I didn't know that's what it was. Um, so I did that. I did the driver's meeting, and those of you who are here seen it. It's hard for me, guys. When I start, there's two things. Obviously, my family is hard. Um, Me asking for stuff is really hard, and then the other thing is veterans and the national anthem. It I get choked up. I mean, I told Tracy I'd come up here and stand with me when I was talking about the Shriner deal because you know what? If I'm crying, he's crying with me. You know what I mean? Like he understands the amount of um, work, the amount of money it takes to do what they do. And I don't know. I'll get on them in just a second, Matt and Chuck. Uh, I just don't see it any other way. And as I said from my post where I stand at the end of the track all night, don't maybe you don't go buy that double quarter this week. Maybe you don't go buy a double quarter 3 days this week and you eat three ham sandwiches instead. And if you need ham sandwiches, let me know. If you're going to give me the money that you're going to spend otherwise, because I'll go buy the ham and a bread and a cheese and we'll make you ham sandwiches. If you're going to give me the $60, $70 it's going to cost you to eat all week, okay? And we're going to get that to charity. We're going to get that to any charity that's worth a shit. I'll do that all day long. So, um, we did it, guys. You guys gave up a lot of or a lot of cheeseburgers and had ham sandwiches this week. If we're going by that, I'm gonna put the number out there right now. The number is higher than I ever thought. I wanted $1,500. That's what I was looking for. Okay, I wanted $1,500 to be able to hand them $1,500. We ended up at 4,000. $4,000 in one day, guys. That is huge to me, and it's all you guys. I didn't do nothing. I prepped the track. I didn't even prep a track. Scuba prepped the track. All I did was open the track up. Yeah, 100%. 4 grand. Now, let me tell you something too. Some shenanigans. We're just getting. We're just talking about the race, Mama. Some of the shenanigans that happened to make that happen. There was two incidents. One I'm going to talk about. One I'm not. One of them is uh, one of my Kempton guys won won a 50/50 that was $406 his side, and he gave it back. The other one was um, the car that got one. One of the cars that got one um, got put back in by Jesse, who also got a hold of MR Customs and Greg to get bodies to give away. That that car ended up selling again. So what he did, he said let's do a silent auction, and that car got sold back and made us a shit ton. Okay, we're not going to talk about much more than that. I don't want the IRS knowing, and I don't want family members knowing. I don't. I don't see it being a problem. I just don't. It's not my place. So literally, guys, we walked in the shop. Here's how we did it. I walked in the shop, whatever time it was, and we had $150 in the till for change. At the end of the night, if you bought a shirt, a hoodie, a soda, donation, a raffle ticket, bet, entry fee, whatever it was, 100% of it went right back in. I kept my 150 that was in there, right? The 150 that was in for my till for change, and the rest of it went to hospital. I didn't take anything for food. We didn't take anything for any of that. Um, we put 100% back. And that's the way it's supposed to be, right? We did take for trophies. Bedazzling is expensive, but that was pulled early, right? So once I did it, all we had was trophies out of it, and they weren't expensive. It was more time consuming, but I think we had $100 and $120 in trophies, but everything else went right back in. So, and we still made $4,000. It's not over, guys. If you think this is the last time you're going to see me with a Shriner race, you're wrong. Next year, next year we'll make it happen more. Thanks, Chuck. Okay, 4,000's a number. The Deep River Grinders, great people, uh, are like 7,500, I think, on their last deal that we started. And I said, I want to see what this RC community can do. Year one, we're at 4,000. People are going to be talking, and we're going to make it better next year. All right. Great job, guys. Thank you for all of your guys and gals work, your guys' money, your guys' effort, your guys putting up with me figuring out how we're going to do this raffle in the middle of it. It's all on you. All I did is open the doors. Okay. Let's get back up here. Uh, Matt, how many mini mods have I sold? Two. I've got two more on the hook to look, but I don't know that's going to happen. But I did sell two. I've got two in the works. Mini mod order will go in. So those of you that were talking to me yesterday, I think it was I'm Joe and Iceman. I think we're talking about getting one maybe to run up there at leisure. You make sure get a hold of me if you want them. If you don't hear this, I'll message you privately anyway. But we are doing that, so there's a potential to have more. Let's see. Yeah, Chuck, 5,000 is a minimum next year. We're gonna have more prizes, more stuff, more racers, I'm sure. Wisconsin Joe, thank you, buddy. It's good. I'm glad you guys came up. I mean down, and then went back up. Chuck says the trophies are really cool. Yes, they are, and I'm not bedazzling shit. You talk. I'm telling you guys, don't understand? It's 2 millimeters. Some of you guys know exactly what 2 millimeters. Some of you guys know exactly what 2 millimeters looks like. Anyway, so but yeah, 2 millimeter jewels on them deals. That's tough. Andrew says, congratulations to everyone who donated and made this such a big success. And Tony and his group put it on. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for your donation. Our neighbor brought it. Yeah, our neighbor that is to the west of us. They weren't home, but they don't care. They're great people. Uh, they uh, they came today and gave us another $50 donation. So okay, Chuck. Chuck's looking at a mini. Jason Jason took home a bunch of hats. Um, he's gonna be putting strobe lights and shit in there so you can see them. The jewels moving around. But yeah, so guys, we're gonna end our portion of this deal on this. Man, we are ecstatic about the number. I will be getting a hold of the hospital to get that up to them. I'm not. I'm. I don't know what's next, but it's going to be bigger than what we had. It's going to be more. The facility. This facility is going to change a little bit, so that might help some with logistics of how to do it. And we'll have a little bit more room or different room next year, hopefully, and then that'll help that too. So thank you all for that. We're going to move on from here to see where we're at with the rest of this show, but very humbled, very excited and proud of what we did. Yeah, Bruce says the shelf on the floor of your trailer. Jason, Jason was here last night, and he goes up the race, and he did a Kempton move, um, and he knocked a whole shelf off of his deal in his trailer. It all goes crashing down, and we're like, "What the hell?" And he runs over and looks, and oh well, let's go racing. So, Kevin, I did talk to my neighbor about doing that. He is okay with it. I've got a couple more to talk to and clear with them. But the mayor was here last. Well, the president of the board, the mayor, whatever you want to call him, was here last night and donated, along with another few members of the community that had nothing to do with it. They were just here to be supportive, and I think that won't be a problem. But I'll have to check. At least the road to the west of us, we're going to try to close for fall brawl, and but we'll see how that works. I'm not going to put anything out there until it's done, but we're going to try to do that for fall brawl. And then if we have to pit in the street, you can even pit in the street if we need to, or we can just, the cars can park there a little easier, whatever we need to do. There will be no trailers for that race, so it's going to be tents only, just because I think we're going to need it for the fall brawl. Okay. All right, guys, what's next? Coming up races. We've got a couple of races coming up, guys. We're done talking about my junk. And here it is. This is the only advertisement that I could find for the Craters race coming up next weekend. It is the World 100. The Crater is a fast place to race and a fun place to race. Doors open at 8, racing at noon. I just seen that on a post. I haven't seen an official flyer for that race yet, but that is what I've seen. So, Jason said, thankfully no TQ trophies were harmed in the falling of that shelf. Yes. My wife says, Matt's asking if any stray cats, anybody end up with any stray cats. My wife says no. She counted them all. She's got them all on trackers by now. So anyway, guys, that's what's up. The Crater World 100, that is this weekend, I believe. So if you're in that area and want to do that, make sure you get to that race. I'm sure the boys up there will make that happen. They do a great program also. So make sure that gets done. The probably the biggest one that we're going to do, that you're going to see, guys, is this one right here, and that is the Hell Tour. It's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody knows about it. No matter what you see or hear or whatever, that is those are mine and Ted's. Yeah, you guys share those cats and are very, very supportive of the cats. Um, the Hell Tour, 10th anniversary of the Hell Tour. It is the last shebang, boys. Last one. $20 entry. I talked to Brad about it a little bit the other day, just to talk about it. No insight, just hey, life happens, and maybe it's run its course a little bit, but there will be the big trophies for the finals for all the points. It is 2 and drop 1, so you'll get to drop 1. Farmer or Cedar Bluff on Friday, Farmer on Saturday, and Sunday is BB Mods. You'll have it at his place. So Brad's rules throughout. I don't know if you can read the flyer there. Longest haul award, most wins in the A main, nightly A main winners, top 3 overall in each class. Tons of raffles. Brad's really good about raffles. Guarantees if you good raffles, get in there for that. Um, so yeah, that TQ gets an extra point. It looks like winners 100, drops by 2 points each round. Race all 3 races, you get extra bonus points. So okay, I see him walking out there now. So there's your classes, guys. It is what it is. I don't think SC modified, SC mod, as it's known in this area, will not be or a mod here in this central Illinois area is very popular anymore. That's why it's not on there. Midwest mod is not on there either. I just think it's too many classes. I don't think that class is dead, but I think the SC mod, and I know TJ, old buddy TJ is not going to like to hear that, but There's not many doing it. Boy, that's interesting. Ice cream sundae A&W root beer. That's something special right there. Um, Let me look it up real quick. SC Mod is. I was talking to some other guys, other track owners about it too, and there's just not many around anymore. So I hope it gets better, but I don't know if this area here is going to lend its hand to that. You know what I mean? That's why that's not on there. I guarantee it. They called it A Mod down in Jacksonville. They had 14 of them. That's a pretty good turnout, honestly. So I don't know. Rick, Kevin, JoJo, TJ, Zach. So there's some out there, I guess. I just didn't. We don't see much. So, um, so you got mod sprint, late model, 13.5 sprint, 13.5 late model, 13.5 SC modified or B mod. Some people call it that. Street stock / street stock and low C22 sprint. Spec class, 225 lap heats, 50 lap mains, and 40 lap in the lowers, 5 lock and 2 bump. Okay. That's a good flyer, guys. I like that flyer right there. Brad has done it for years, and he will tell you. Yeah, B mod was good here, guys. I think the 13.5 SC mod or B mod. I think that's okay. I think that my opinion, guys. Don't crucify. Well, you can crucify me. I don't give a shit. Um, I think the SC modified, in all honesty, becomes too much of a money pit. And I know guys say I run this motor just like I run every other motor, but I just think they're way too much money in them, and that's where people shy away. Um, the B mod, I think it's good enough where it's reasonable enough on the cash and in the wallet that you don't have that much of a problem with it. So I think that's why it stays around a little bit better. So nothing against any of them, just the truth of how I see it. And I might be completely wrong. I'm not saying I'm right with anything, promise you. Okay, so that's that. Anybody got anything for me? Anybody got anything for me? Anything so far? What's your guys' feeling on that? I'm sure there's a ton of you on here that's going to the Hell Tour, which you should, honestly. It's the last one. I don't know. Rick says he has roughly 400 in his B mod. Yeah, I mean, B mods aren't bad. B mods aren't bad. I know GFRP's, from what I heard, is coming out with or has out a SC based mod, which I'm sure is not cheap. Jason says, I turned my A mod into a super street stock, but that class never took off either. Man, I'm telling you, new classes are hard. New classes are hard, right? It's just I don't know. I don't know what to do to make that better yet. You run out of time. People don't want to build new cars. People can't afford to build new cars. They know what they got. And they understand what they got. So maybe that's where it's at. I don't know. But it is hard to get a new class started. Look at us in the mini mods, guys. I've been here 4 years and I've ran them every year, and I've ran them other places. Um, Munsterman can attest to that too. Uh, Most anybody that has been around this area has seen them. We've raced them all over. PTs, BB mods, Limestone started this deal, kind of, I guess, started the deal. It's just hard to get a new one going. Nathan says same here is my favorite, just to run on my track. Yeah, super street stock. I haven't heard that. I need to look that up. I haven't been out enough to see that run. Evidently, it doesn't run much anyway. Tommy's trying to make B mods great again, and they're getting there. Honestly, I think B mods are good. I think 13.5 SC. I think Brad will have a really good turnout for the Hell Tour for him. They're a bump up from the slash street stock, in my opinion. I don't know about all that deal. The Super Street. Yeah, I've heard a couple guys talk about it, but I've never dealt with them. They run the Super Street stock at Slideways. I'll be down there this winter, so I'll check them out down in Brownstown. So, yeah, that's good. I mean, guys, I don't have a problem with a new class. It's just figuring it out. So, question of the week. All right, everybody ready for the question of the week? I haven't got a pop up for that yet. We're going to work on it. After this weekend's race, I text a couple guys to give me an idea because we're running short on question of the week. And that's fine. I can come up with questions of the week. But I'd like for you guys to because I want your input. I want to know what's going on. So here's one of mine. After the race this weekend, hang on a second. Cedar River Speedway has a big B mod race in September. No date yet, but it's going to make up to last week's winner. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, once we figure it out, we'll get it up and see if guys are available. Paisley, I'll be down at some point. I promise you, buddy. Guaranteed. You'll see my ugly mug down there. My mom lives in Centralia, so my dad used to work in Vandalia, so I know that area well, and I'll be down to hang out. Um, so my question is this: after this weekend, um, you haven't been here, Drake. Um, how do we get spectators? How is this? How do we get spectators? Here this weekend, of course, it's a charity race. In my opinion, there was a number of people. Um, we had um, some friends of ours from Colum, the next town over, right over on golf carts and side by sides. We had people on side by side just stop by. We had my boss from work came out. Him and his wife came out and hung out. We had just people that were not racing. Matt came out and just hung out all night. We had people and didn't race. So we had people that didn't even race. Were out here hanging out, watching RC racing. So my question is this: we've talked about it for a long time, and Scuba put a good post out while or a comment out at one of the others. We were talking about this kind of thing, and he said, "Location, location, location." And I don't disagree. I am in a great location. If I was in a town of 2,000, not 200, or 200,000, whatever, right? My problem is I'm in a town of 200. Not that I would change that, and if I was any bigger, I wouldn't get away with what I get away with because most people would complain, whatever. Everybody here is really responsive to it. But how do we get more people? And I don't know that I have a question or answer to this, but how do we get more people just to come hang out, just to come watch? With that being said, the show's pretty long for some people. I'm not saying that person's going to have to come and stay the whole time. We had after Heat 2, middle of Heat 2, we started losing a bunch. The end of one, we got some gone because it was just not bad late, but they just wasn't worried about it. You know what I mean? They just wanted to come check it out. But even that, how many times do you go to the track and you are racing with your buddies only? What's up, Darren? What do you do? You know, your buddies are the only ones watching you. And I promise you, by the mod mains, that's where we're at. Unless you do what Brad's been doing and wait till the end of the night to take pictures, everybody has to stay. Otherwise, going home, right? And I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to hang out. Well, I would because I do, and a lot of guys do. We had, I don't say a lot. There's eight of us out here bullshitting last night until I don't know 1:32. Well, we got done about 1:15, so about 2. So how do we do that, guys? How do we get more people to come watch RC racing? That's the question. Put in the comments. Let's go. What are we going to do as a hobby? What are you going to do? Get more people to stand out there and watch you race, even if it's for a heat or half a heat. It don't even have to be a whole heat. How are you going to do it? I feel like what? Yeah. Weasel left at 2:05. Yep. What time did you get home? About 3:30? Drake says, when I was helping Kirkland RC Club, I advertised in the Facebook group, guys that go to our local big car track are in. In the few weeks I advertised, we had a dozen people come through. But we were in the winter and not come through. Yeah. I think that's a big deal too, right? I think we were racing the same time the big cars were racing. That doesn't help us any. So Tommy says start posting live videos. Weasel said got home at 3. So Tommy, there's a catch-22 there. If I can sit at home and watch it, am I going to go stand in the heat? Nathan says I don't think it's possible goal to get people in the seats, but there may be something to having live stream. Okay, if you the I don't have a problem with live streaming. Me and Munsterman, I don't know if he's still on here or not, but me and Munsterman have talked about live streaming in a great way, in a good way, not a potato camera, right? We're not going to be live streaming with a potato. It's going to be you can see what's going on. Um, with that being said, do you stay home and watch it because it's on there, or do you go to the race? Rick says getting spectators is hard even when it's free. Just don't people realize how much fun RC racing is and action packed it gets? Yeah. Tommy says if you see it on the video, maybe you'll spark the interest. You're right, Tommy. And I'm not disagreeing with you, buddy. I'm just trying to figure it out, right? I know a lot of guys that live stream our big car drag racing, and some people are contributing that to the number of people that aren't going to the races. I can't tell you if that's right or not. You know what I mean? I went to War in the Woods this year, and I'm going back to War in the Woods the week before Fall Brawl because I've seen videos of it and it's badass. That's why I went. I can't say that is everybody, but I wonder. You know what I mean? That's a good point. Guys, I told you this a million times before. I didn't even know we were doing this stuff. I didn't even know this was a gig. Tommy says, just like the big car racing is way more exciting to watch in person, 100%. Rick says most people probably don't even know about the live streaming. Well, if you go to Live RC, that is not what you want. If you go to Live RC and watch it, it never matches up, and I mean, you can watch the landing on the moon better video than half the Live RC, right? And we've never been back to the moon. Never mind, that's a whole nother subject. Jason said it's old school, but what about using local news to promote an event or commercial slot showing your event? I've thought about that, Jason. I think the next time we do next time we do the Shriner race, we'll have something like that. Russell says Rusty Cup Series pulls a good crowd at the Sandwich Fair. Yeah, and you have people there already, right? So they're coming over to check it out. I agree. You guys, anybody that does that atmosphere, that setting, has one up on the rest of us, right? Honestly, that's why I've always done the same day as Kempton Day. I know, Jeremy. Let's go. Set that up. Let's go before the fall brawl. Let's do that. Drake says promo videos similar to what Racing 411 on YouTube does for Fairbury might help some. Got to find someone to film and edit though. Also, got to figure out how to make people watch it. Matt says I think bring RC to the spectators. have an event during the county fair, local town event. Right. That's why I do it for Kempton Days, guys. Um, I'm not going to be. I'm 100% transparent. Sometimes too much. Um, we were on the committee to start the Kempton Days. We got out of it after the first year, but um, and we did a race that year to try to bring more people in. And if your event is big and growing, that's great. The problem is if you go to a county fair and you got to build a track, that's a little rough. You know what I mean? But it would work. Do a Facebook Live for the A mains. RC Underground Radio did it this week for most of ours. So if you guys got to go to RC Underground Radio, he's going to have a live. He talked to a lot of guys and ladies here. I think you guys will enjoy that next Monday. Not this one coming up, not the 25th, but the next Monday after the Hell Tour. You guys can go on there, watch the RC Underground Radio YouTube, and he's going to have all the interviews from here at Kempton, and I guarantee you it's going to be interesting. Chuck says, Jeremy, shit, we can walk into Top Fuel and grab a beer with him, and then he's in. I agree. I've heard about that guy, but I've never been there. I would like to. I would like to get that going, but I honestly don't know anything about it, so I need some help. Drake says, "What the McGraths do at Sandwich Fair is the biggest crowd to watch RC I've ever saw." That's cool. I mean, I like that deal. I think that's. I really think that's a good thing. I think you have to be able to a put that on and b have a good show at the same time, right? If you just put a show on at a county fair that's shit, it doesn't make a good light on any of us or the hobby, right? So I think the McGraths had, from what I've understood, they have done a great job with the whole Rusty Cup deal. And continue, guys, kick that ass. Chuck Decker says, or Chad Decker says, talk to Ken Casson from Shinoa. He has a weekly show during the summer about the February race, Route 24 radio. Okay, yeah. If that poker run would have come by later, yeah, dude, that was bad. Wasn't it? I wish it would have all come by that way. But maybe you get a few stopping and looking. You never know. Jeremy says we can make a stop in there one day and BS with Freak. Yes, let's do it. Let's make it a day where we're supposed to be racing. Rick Taylor says I tried to do a Facebook Live at the track, but I was in Facebook jail again. Is that a common thing for you, Rick? Dave did a bunch here. I can say if Dave's stuff, Instagram, Radio Dave, Dave Brinkman, whatever you call him, if his stuff can get out to more people, we will be better off. He puts a lot of stuff out there. When it first started, it was more RC, one RC stuff, but it's kind of grown into more now, a lot more. So that's that's what it is. You know what I mean? They have a lot of content for everybody, but there's a whole lot of dirt oval stuff on there. TJ's dirt oval. Um, Dave is one RC, but I'm on that. The Twisted Tuesday guys are on there. They're doing drift. They're pretty good about it. Honcho and the guys down there are doing drag racing. That's the three big ones right now. But we're looking for an off-road guy. Uh, there's so much to the RC hobby that people can do. We just need to get it out further. More people need to talk about it. More people need to get his page opened up to other people, and we can do that. I did not take your drink, but I did take an ice cream sundae flavored soda, and it's not very good. But whatever. So, so I think in my opinion, there's a couple of things that you can do. Um, I think more charity races will help that too. Um, I think a lot of this happens more than you think. It doesn't, and it isn't. I'm telling you, man, try it. It's in your area. Kankakee, Walmart. She bought it from A&W Ice Cream Sundae Soda. It tastes I don't even know what it tastes like, but I'll drink it. It's like Stag. No, didn't take anything. That's what I had this morning. I'm in trouble, guys. I'm trying to get myself out of trouble, just so you know. Um, I'm exploring. What? Who is this Munsterman on here? I know that ain't Jennifer. Would you get kicked out, Brian? How to use the boss's shit? Come on, Kevin, try it. Um, so yeah, so there's what that is. Okay. I think if you do more charity stuff, if you like this event here, and I'm not bragging on myself by any means. Most of you guys know me well enough to know that's not who I am. I'm just saying I think it's something that will work well if we can get um, more people to the track for another reason, and then they can see, hey, this is a good time. Let's do it. You know what I mean? I think that would be. I think that would help. So, oh, nice. Plug it in, Munsterman. If you don't plug it in, bro, the battery goes dead. Um, so yeah, that's where we're at. All right. Anybody got anything else? I like the event ideas at somewhere. I do like that. I don't know. Locally, somewhere like the Threshermans would be cool. I don't know if you can get into, but Chuck says, what about a demo day? Not a demolition day, but a demonstration day. Uh, yes. I mean, there's so much you could do. Here's something I think people get into too. Um, is I think people look at an RC car sometimes and are like, what am I supposed to do with that? Right? Like, what does all this do? I don't understand anything of it. And then that's where they're at. You know what I mean? They're like, I said, uh, so they're confused with what it is. What do I do with this and what do I do with that? I don't think people ever know. And we've talked about this amongst the Kempton crew. People just don't talk like they used to, and it's hard because people don't they just don't want to talk. They don't want to ask that question. Like we were talking about building a B mod, and I said, okay, we want B mod to get better. Then okay, let's do a video. Let's do something to show people how to build a B mod. What do you need? Where does it come from? What do we got to do? And a lot of the guys were like, man, that's bullshit. We had to talk to people, make them. Well, it's a different time. People don't talk to each other like we did or we do, or honestly, it probably should be. But they just don't do it. So let's do a video, show them how to build a B mod, what they need, and you can do two of them. You can do, we're just going to put names out there, but an Associated and a Traxxas. You have the $2 amounts. One's going to be more than the other, obviously, but they can see both cars, see how it works. It wouldn't be that big a deal to do. But there's guys that don't want to because my wife said it, some people suck. That's right. I mean, they don't want to talk. They don't want to do that. So if you want to grow the hobby, you got to kind of go with the flow, I think. Uh, Chuck said, I heard Thacker had a new sprint. He might. Yeah, that might happen. Munsterman, well, I'm glad you figured out how to plug it in. Good job, buddy. Drake says, we tried doing an intermission show at Sycamore Speedway, but we were too far away from the crowd to realize what was happening. We did get a bunch of new Facebook followers, though. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, you just got to keep pushing it. If you got them on following, if they're following, honestly, if you could find a track that you could run, Farmer City's got one at the back of the track too. There's the big track. But if you could get it up there closer where people could see it, I was talking to a guy about that the other day, and he goes, "Man, if you could put it up front, that'd be badass." I'm like, "Yeah, your people are already there, and you're a babysitter for the mom and dad watching the big race." So he thought it was a Bluetooth charger. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I mean that statement about having it up front was not my idea, right? I was talking to him, and he said, "Hey, if we could do this, it would help." Yes, agreed, 100%. Okay, so maybe that's where we do. Maybe we figure out a way to get this at an event. I know Brad did the Shriners deal for Sunday Kids Day, but the other problem is you need a track. Not nothing against it, but a portable track is good for one RC stuff, but it's not good for what we do. And I'm not saying one RC stuff's bad. I'm just saying it's not the same. Um, in the summertime, you got to be out in the heat, dirt. Amber, oh, Crouch, she didn't know that. Well, it's all in the back. If you don't go to the back of the back corner, you're never going to know it on the horse track on the outside. So yeah, I agree. So I don't know, man. There has to be a way to get more people involved, and I think if you get spectators out to watch, that's where they get involved. One of the kids that were in the new next gen class this week, I've got 4 messages waiting on me from his dad trying to figure out how to do. I think they got a Traxxas Rustler or something like that. Um, I don't remember exactly which one they got, but nothing that can be converted really easily into something we're running. But they're trying to figure that up. What's up, Nate? They're trying to figure out what's going on with that, you know. So now, after he raced the other night, because he borrowed one of my cars, so I think that's another way to get people in. You know, do you do rental rides? Do you do rental rides and put them in a next gen class, or do you make a rental ride? You know, run them all in the next gen or novice, however you want to say it. Even if you're a 50-year-old man and you never ran an RC car, you throw them in the novice class. We'll do Traxxas Joe. Traxxas Joe and Wisconsin Joe. They're both on here. I had to deal with them last night. Last night I couldn't even call a race. I'm like, Joe. And I'm like, well, one of them's your Wisconsin, one of them's your Traxxas. Let's go. Brian says an outdoors and a different experience, so I'm gonna love some. Will hate it, but I feel it carries a totally different vibe in the indoor racing. I agree. Matt said bad part about it. Matt is farmer. Just so you guys don't know, if you guys don't know, Matt is Farmer City. Bad part about us is having the big track is that when we have big races, the shitheads take their pit bikes down there and tear. Oh yeah, I agree. That I can see that being a big problem, and I can see that too. Hard to police. 100%. Yep, I agree. Yep, that's it. And I know it would. I'm honestly, Matt, I've never been to a big race down there, but I bet it'd be really hard to put an RC race on the same time. But that would be badass if you could, both of them, both of them, as Limpy would say, both of them. And then you wouldn't have to worry about that because they ain't getting a pit bike on with a bunch of RC racers racing at the same time. Rick says we have a race in the winter called Battle at the Barn. They race on Coke syrup. I've asked if we could do an exhibition, but they never did respond. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of different ideas, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. There's places in southeast that are racing on sealed OSB to replicate outdoors dirt. No, not at all, Chad. You're all right, buddy. Keep on working. You can race. You know you're welcome anytime. Chad was out last night. Had a little trouble with the car, but hey, man, you got to start somewhere. He's just getting back into the hobby. So, man, you got to learn somewhere. Just keep on racing. Well, no problem. But what I'm saying is a guy that's never even seen a car walks up and says, "Hey, what am I doing?" That's what you want. Okay. Topic of the week, guys, kind of plays into this a little bit. Topic of the week is going to be this. If you watch the RC Underground Radio, you already know and you're already prepped to tell me your answers. When does a guy move up? That simple. It's not simple, as I said before. When does a guy move up? I don't think you can force a guy to move up. And here's the reason why. You don't know anything about him. Money. You don't know anything about time. You don't know um, anything about any of that. So when do you make him? Chuck, you're saying with 3 wins they move up? Is that out of what though? Out of what class, Chuck? If that's what you're talking about. Yeah, he did bring his dog, Mama. Um, if you're talking novice, I'm okay with that. Is that what you're talking? What's up, Ryan, Alvy? What's going on, Josh or Jason? What did you do? Get kicked off and come back on? We're still here. So how does that do that? Chad says run what you can afford, or they will leave the sport. Agreed. Chuck says yes, novice. I agree with that, Chuck. I don't know if three's the number, but you're close, right? I definitely say if you win a lot in one season, the next season you move, right? If you race at a track that races twice a month in the outdoor time and you get 6 or 7 um, races in and you win half or more, I think that's a problem, right? I think you need to move out of the novice. He says you can tell when someone has it as well. Yeah, I mean that's when they figure it out, it makes a difference. You can really see it. Matt says a guy needs to move up when when his domination of the class chases racers away. I agree, but we don't know his situation, right? That's the only other side to that. So as a track owner, what do I do? I can't go to a guy and say, "Nah, you can't race until you move up." How does that hurt? That what does that do? Why does a guy have to move up? Jeff Johnson, I race classes I like in street stock forever. Agreed too. That's what I'm saying, Jeff. I don't know that anybody has to ever move up. There's two sides to this story, and one side of it is this: you move up whenever you're dominating and you're running people off. If you do that, the other side of it is this: you don't move up because that's what you really enjoy, and the guy next to you, you better work harder. Yeah, Rick, it's Uncle Jeff. Chuck says, so what classes are you talking about moving out of? Like 13.5 to mod? Well, kind of. Um, we'll go to that too. Chuck says, Jeff Johnson, where would you move up to uh, in the street stock? You move up to late model. Late model will be your next step. Now, slash street stock, you're going to the B mod. Buggy street stock, you're going to the late model, 13.5 crate or 10.5 crate. I wish somebody get on that damn 10.5 kick with us. Them things are bad, fast, and fun. We ain't torque, no tires. Uh, so yeah, I think like I don't know. I can't. It's a hard question. I don't know that I have an answer. That's why I'm looking for help from the racers. Munchman says if and when he or she wants to, and her finances allow them, novice 1 season at most. Tyler started a novice, relinquished all of his points at the end of the year, so the kid could have the series when he moved to race with us. Yeah, Chuck says he runs both. He said, I agree with Jeremy's agreeing with me. The 10.5 deal. The 10.5 is in crate late model, buggy style. Jason says, nobody's going to tell me what class I can or can't run. If someone is lagging in the class, I'd help get you faster. Yes. So I talk to a lot of people behind the scenes, guys. Not only on here where people are talking, we're talking on the backside. If you're not working during the week, you're probably not going to be as fast on Saturday or Sunday or Friday, whatever night you're racing. Yeah. I told them to do it, Chuck. I told them to do it. They jumped on with a 13.5 bandwagon. I know. Okay, let's do a poll real quick. 10.5 late model. How much tires are you eating more than a 13.5 late model? Guys that are running it. I don't see it. I'm just asking. Yes, I agree with Jason too. I mean, how many guys are you going to run off to um, trying to force a guy into a different class? Yeah, yeah. I didn't think tires was a problem. If you're forcing a guy to a tire, that was the bitch, guys. That's why a lot of guys said they didn't want to do 10.5s because the tires chews tires up. But I think if your track chews tires up, it's going to chew tires up. Um, but anyway, the 10. If you get a guy, if you try to force a guy out into a higher class, he ain't coming racing your track. It ain't happening. In big car, are they forcing anybody to do that? Tommy says, I don't think classes are structured so you can grow with a car instead of having to buy another car. That is a gray area, Tommy. You can take a slash street stock and make it into a um, Jason. You can take a slash street stock and make it into a V mod. I think there's a guy on here that ran one for a while and was pretty fast with it. I know a couple of guys that were. So that can happen. Um, Buggy street stock, you do have to buy a chassis to go to. You don't have to. You can run a buggy street stock. You can run it up to a late model. You can run the same chassis in a late model crate late. You don't have to buy a purpose built chassis. And see, Jason said bald tires are still bald after 50 laps. Yeah, they're just bald, showing the inside structure. Um, so Tommy, I think that once you get there, you're going to want something a little bit faster. You know what I mean? You're going to want something a little bit better when you move up, right? But you can run a stock chassis into the late model class. You do not have to buy a purpose built chassis to get into crate late. Now, after you run it for a season and you get a better handle on it, then maybe you want to buy one, right? Maybe you don't. There's a guy on here right now that's running the cheapest car that you can buy almost, that is a mainstream car in every class: mod, crate, 13.5, and competitively. So you don't have to do any of it. You just get better and faster. You want better product. You want better parts. That's why you do it. Okay. So you can move up some. I wouldn't run that in a mod, but you could definitely get from buggy to late model, and then at that point, if you're going to move on into mod, you're going to make some big changes to make that happen. Okay. So there is a progression. It might be strange, iffy, questionable at times, but there is a progression there. It's just not what everybody sees all the time because they see everybody else having a purpose-built car. When you move to late model, first thing you do is you want to go buy a new chassis because everybody else has, and you probably will be to be really really competitive. But normally, when you step into that class, you're not always competitive at the beginning, right? So you can learn a little bit and then save your pennies, eat ham sandwiches, and go get it done, right? The other thing is while we're on the purpose built chassis in this, guys, crate late model is not a beginner's class. And if you're telling somebody that's just getting into the hobby that crate late model and a 13.5 or a 10.5 is a beginner class, You're serving them very wrong. Okay, I said it. I don't like it. I don't want to tell you. It's the truth. 13.5 going and buying a rocket is not the chassis. That is not what you start out in RC with. Not a starter car. Brian says SC 13.5 mod can easily become SC mod. 100% it can. Yes. He says 10.5 in the crate is fast and fun. It doesn't burn up tires either. I agree. I think, I'm telling you, there has to be a progression. Talk about progression. I think if you go from buggy street stock in the 13.5, you should bump a motor and a chassis and a body all together to go to late model. If that's what you want to do. At least a body and a motor. You move up, it's going to be faster. Brian says B mod can become a mod. Damn phone. You're blaming your phone on a lot of stuff tonight, Brian. I ain't buying it. You talk about a shaky Johnson right there. Rick Taylor says, I really don't think anyone needs to move up in RC racing. The only exception is novice. I agree with what someone said earlier. What you enjoy running. If a guy is dominant, try to get better and make him less dominant. Agreed. My wife likes granny mode. She likes to slash it so we can put it in training mode for her. Paisley says, Brian Laurent only runs conversion cars, always fast. Yeah. I haven't had dinner yet, Mama. So he was supposed to be down this week, and he'll be at the Hill Tour. I know. I talked to him this week. Is his plan. But Brian says, but they lose the sale on the more expensive setup and all the extra parts sold. That's what will frustrate someone new in the hobby. Yeah. Chris says they need to add purpose-built chassis. No, they do not. They need to add purpose-built chassis to buggy street stock. You need to go to late model. If you do that, all right, I'm glad you put that out there. Chris, if you do that, you put purpose-built chassis on a buggy street stock, uh, what are you going to do? What are you going to start in a buggy then? I go buy a buggy for a buggy because it's not as expensive buying a GFRP car. And it's easier to put together if I don't, most of us don't buy them RTR. Where do you start then? I don't think that's right. My opinion is you keep the buggy a buggy, and then when you move up to a late, you move up to a late. Chuck says, I need to confirm lodging for the fall brawl. Yeah, the rough home. Joe says that would be sportsman then. Matt, I agree with Matt. Matt says purpose-built chassis would kill the SS class. I agree, the street stock class. There's one in the works, but it's not been be a carbon plate. He's thinking price wise. What Matt Ryan says there's one in the works, but it's not be on a carbon plate. Well, if it's not on a carbon plate, Ryan, and it's built right for uh, it's available and a reasonable price, and it's built by a company. Ah, man, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be a hard one to. I'm not saying it's a hard one to sell. I think if I have an idea what you're talking about, and I don't have any insight, I'm just thinking around, right? If a purpose-built manufacturer builds it, is it purpose-built? And then how do you add that? All right, is a rule going to have to say aluminum chassis? Did you sell it? Jason says, "Where I'm going to sleep with no trailer. You better bring a fucking tent and a. You can sleep in the shop with the cats." There it is, Morris. With the cats in the shop. There's a lot of information on the internet about how to set up a buggy. Was talking to a guy yesterday about that. Learn what the adjustments do in the buggy street stock class. It helps when you move up the purpose book. I agree 100%, Matt. I agree 100%. I'm glad you're on here tonight, Jeremy. You must not have had any. Must have had dinner early tonight. Nice. So yeah, I don't. Um, Let me look at something real quick. Early din din, huh? Nice. Let me open one of these windows real quick, and we'll see what we got here. I was thinking. Oops, not what I wanted. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that buggy street stock deal. But the only other point I have to it is, in my opinion, I don't think you can bump somebody up. I really think you just need to let that guy choose when he's going to go up or stay. And if that guy is so great you can't beat him, then my opinion is you got to work on your program a little bit more to get better. I know there's guys that have been racing for 40 years and nobody can beat them, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of it is, at some point, you just have to, you have to put as many laps as they do or more and do it that way, right? I'm trying to look up rules here real quick. The buggy street stock chassis says the current rule says must be factory based off road chassis. So that's gonna be weird. You know what I mean? Just a thought. But Munchman said I had enough snacks and all. Yeah, no kidding. Aftermarket graphite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't. That's the whole thing. What do you do? I mean, let me get back to it. Must be a factory based off, and it says based off road. But chassis must remain stock, no aftermarket, non OEM upgrades except for RPM branded design for the chassis. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of options out there, right? I mean, there's plenty of places you can do that. I don't know, man. I don't think it's. I don't know. That's the first Ryan putting that on the. That's the first that I've heard of it. I mean, I've heard rumblings, but I didn't know how loud it was a rumble. Um, but that's interesting. So I just think you can't. To get back to it, I think you can't. We're going to continue. I just got to get. It says right there, stock chassis. This is yeah. But if you buy, man, I don't know. If you buy the chassis, it says off-road base too. So Matt says buggy street stock is a perfect class to suck in off-road guys. The B6 works fine in dirt oval. As guys buy a news, yeah, B6, yeah, they can repurpose it 100%. I repurpose that chassis into something else and have something to play with when they're not off-road. Traxxas Joe says stock chassis is what makes it street stock, in my opinion. Jason said, I thought X-Ray made a buggy off-road chassis graphite kit at one time. I know that Schumacher does. Thanks for listening to In My Opinion. Don't forget to join us live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central on Kempton Speedway Facebook page. Catch our highlight show dropping Wednesdays on RCU Radio's YouTube, Spotify, and all major platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.